You are watching Daily Market Pulse. Today is Tuesday, April 28, 2026. If you want a clean daily read on macro and market risk, subscribe for the next briefing. Momentum-driven meme regime clashes with looming deflationary liquidity crisis. Here is the framework for today's briefing. Momentum vs. fundamentals disconnect. The market is split between momentum-driven assets and deflationary pressures. Liquidity crisis and debt leverage. A potential liquidity crisis could trigger a severe market correction. Deflationary AI disruption. AI is driving deflationary pressures with significant implications for investors. Crypto outlook. Bitcoin and crypto assets are highly correlated with equities, with significant implications for investors. Daily financial market update. Live prices. Gold, silver, crypto, equities, US bonds, and trend. Let's dive into the momentum versus fundamentals disconnect. The market is seeing a significant disconnect between momentum-driven assets and fundamentals, with the S&P 500 reaching new highs despite concerns over deflationary pressures. This disconnect is driven by a combination of factors, including the ongoing impact of the pandemic and the increasing influence of AI on the market. As investors, it's essential to understand the implications of this disconnect and be prepared for a potential liquidity crisis. By keeping a close eye on key metrics, including the S&P 500 and Bitcoin's correlation with the S&P 500, investors can navigate this complex market environment and make informed investment decisions. Now let's examine the liquidity crisis and debt leverage. The market is facing a potential liquidity crisis, driven by a combination of factors, including private credit defaults and debt leverage. Private credit defaults have risen to 10%, and debt leverage is increasing, creating a fragile market environment. As investors, it's essential to understand the implications of this crisis and be prepared for a potential liquidity crisis by keeping a close eye on key metrics, including private credit defaults and debt leverage. Investors can navigate this complex market environment and make informed investment decisions. Next, let's explore the deflationary AI disruption. The market is seeing a significant deflationary AI disruption, driven by a combination of factors, including the increasing adoption of AI technologies. AI adoption has risen to 20%, and deflationary pressures are increasing, creating a complex market environment. As investors, it's essential to understand the implications of this disruption and be prepared for a potential shift in the market landscape. By keeping a close eye on key metrics, including AI adoption rates and deflationary pressures, investors can navigate this complex market environment and make informed investment decisions. Finally, let's examine the crypto outlook. The crypto market is seeing a significant correlation with equities, driven by a combination of factors, including the increasing adoption of crypto technologies. Bitcoin's correlation with the S&P 500 has risen to 0.8, and crypto volatility is increasing, creating a complex market environment. As investors, it's essential to understand the implications of this correlation and be prepared for a potential shift in the crypto market landscape. By keeping a close eye on key metrics, including Bitcoin's correlation with the S&P 500 and crypto volatility, investors can navigate this complex market environment and make informed investment decisions. Now let us turn to today's live market snapshot, where gold, crypto, stocks, and bonds are actually trading right now. Now for our daily financial market update, here is where the key asset classes stand as of Tuesday, April 28, 2026. Gold is trading at $4,681.90, slightly higher on the day, and is lower over the past 5 sessions. Silver is at $74.45, slightly lower today, and sharply lower over the past 5 sessions. In crypto, Bitcoin is at $76,981, lower on the session and lower over the past 5 sessions. Ethereum is at $2,293, sharply lower today. Other major crypto, Solana at $84.18, BNB at $626, XRP at $139.45. On equities, the S&P 500 at $7,173.91, slightly higher. The Nasdaq at $24,087.10, slightly higher. The Dow at $49,167.9, slightly lower. Internationally, the DAX at 24,083.53, slightly lower. The Nikkei at 59,928.89, lower. The FTSE at 10,321.9, slightly lower. On the bond side, the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield is at 4.34%, slightly higher on the session, and the 30-year yield is at 4.94%, slightly higher. Yields remain in focus as the market watches for Federal Reserve signals. Rounding out the macro picture, WTI crude at $97.42 per barrel, higher, the dollar index at 98.50, flat. The picture is mixed across asset classes, with no dominant directional theme yet. Investors are watching macro catalysts closely before committing to a clear risk stance. So what's the summary and conclusion of today? The market is navigating a complex interplay between momentum and deflation, with significant implications for investors and market followers. As we move forward, it's essential to keep a close eye on key metrics, including Bitcoin's correlation with the S&P 500 and the potential for a liquidity crisis. Thank you for your attention, and we will see you again tomorrow.